Hey, what's up, homie? It's Dr. Howie, a principal AI engineer. I treat investing like engineering. That means everything we do here is data driven. In this video, I will share why I sold all of my ASML stock with more than 40% in profit. I will tell you first why I bought the stock in the first place. Second, when did I buy and sell the stock and at what price? Thirdly, I will tell you why I sell everything. So let's get to it. So, why did I buy the stock in the first place? It's all started with AI. I chatted with ChatGPT, and that was the stock that it was recommending to me. Let's see the chat history. So here's the chat history that this is the first question that I asked ChatGPT, and this is back in May, June, or July. I can't remember exactly what the date was. However, we were at a lazy river and we were in the swimming pool, and I wasn't that lazy and I just chatted with ChatGPT because I was bored and I was actually looking for a stock to buy. And so I asked ChatGPT, can you suggest one stock to buy for the next 1 to 5 years that has the most upside? And it actually gave me Nvidia. And at the time, I already invested in Nvidia, so I thought that, hey, can you suggest me something else? Right in the on here, it just gave me like all the things that at the time was going on, such as administration impact, and I told it this is the most valuable company, which it is at the time. Nvidia is was at all-time high, I believe, and is this still a buy? It's like that's an excellent question. It's currently the most valuable company in the world by market cap, surpassing Apple and Microsoft. However, just is it overvalued? Check the number. The it actually calculate the pack ratio, which is not overvalued, which pack ratio is one of the things that I look at when I buy the stock. And you can go through all of this buy it, and then after that it actually tell me here in the bottom, would you like a side-by-side comparison with Palantir or ASML, which may have some asymmetric upside from a lower base, but higher risk? So I remember that Palantir has a really high PE, so I say so. And I am not sure about ASML. Like at the time, I am oblivious of what ASML as a company is. I thought it's just another TSMC, but they're not making as much money as TSMC and they're not as competitive. However, I found out that is not the case. But this is what I told ChatGPT. It seems like it's always a second choice to a TSMC. So it gives me the Palantir, but we're not for that, and says ASML always behind TSMC. Not quite. This is common misconception. ASML doesn't compete with TSMC. It enables TSMC, which I found that mind-blowing, right? So apparently they are selling lithography machines to TSMC, which TSMC used this machine to produce chips. And they produce these chips for Nvidia, for AMD, and then Nvidia and AMD, they are selling it to the customer, right? So this is all the stack of the companies, and everything start with the ASML as the provider of this lithography machine, and all goes downhill all the way to Nvidia, to the consumer. So it introduced me to ASML. Look at the backlog, it's really huge, and you can see all the things that I chat during my lazy river time in the summer on Saturday, right? So I go pretty in depth with ChatGPT and just asking questions after questions, right? This is so you can see like I did chat with it for quite a bit, and after all of this, I were convinced like this company is going to have a lot of traction and it's very strong candidate of the stock that I was going to buy. I went into the financial result and did a lot of financial analysis here. And for the fundamental, after I did the fundamental, it was really good. So I decided to buy the stock in sometime in July, mid July or something like that. And the rest is history with 40% upside while it was introduced by ChatGPT in the first place. So moving on to the next topic, which is when did I buy it, when did I sell it, and at what price? Right, so I bought it here at around $740 per share, and I sold it here at $1,051.21 per share. So I didn't just buy it here one time, but I bought it over a period of time or around over here. And actually, when I bought it over here, the stock has been going up ever since I last bought it. I think it was like over here. It has a slightly dip over here, but overall, it's been up a lot. And I bought it like less than a year ago, actually. Maybe, what is it, like November, like 5 months ago, when you buy the stock just for 5 to 6 months, and the stock shot up from 740 to 1051, and that is about 40% upside, which is really nice. And the reason why I sell the stock is currently the stock price is at 1,000. I expect it to go to this high right here where you see the parallel line, right? So this high coincide with this high, and this low coincide with this low. So there's a really nice parallel line that you see. And if if this line holds through, right? So if this parallel holds through, then the upside here is $1,200, right? From where it's at right now, and from 1,200, from about um $1,086 right now to 1,200. That's about 10-15% increase from here, which is really nice if it goes up within several months. However, I do have another stock to buy, which I'm reallocating all of the cost basis plus the profit of this ASML stock to another stock, which I'm going to mention at the end of the video. So stay tuned. And I'm going to reallocate there, right? In addition, if the stock eventually goes back down to the low of this parallel, I will definitely add. So unless it go all the way back down to this parallel, I'm not going to touch this stock. I'm going to monitor it from this point on. However, this is where it's at right now. So here comes the reason why I sold all my ASML stock, reallocating all the capital plus the profit into Meta platform. So I've been eyeing Meta for the longest time, and I was just waiting to buy it. However, at the time it was hovering at around 600, nearly $700 plus. So with the recent drop of the one tax thing that Meta has to pay for the government, that the stock dropped from $751 all the way to the lowest at $589. So I think Meta stock has a larger upside, in my opinion, in comparison to the ASML. The PE trailing 12 month is 22 versus ASML at 38. And the growth for Meta platform, if we scroll down to the bottom, right? So the revenue is 26%. That's revenue growth. That's versus the peers, right? Versus Google. In terms of revenue, Meta is the beast. Plus, if we look at the net profit, so the net profit for the trailing 12 month, I do not. Oh, okay. So this is the net profit, right? So because they got slapped with this one tax issue or one tax payment, the net profit is not as much, it's only 5.4%. And however, the net profit for the 5 years growth is 131%. If we look at the revenue growth, the trailing 12 month, that has definitely outperformed the peers at 21%, right? So, and also for the annual growth of 5 years is 140%. And the net profit is 30% trailing 12 months, right? That's the profit margin, which is really good. So, all in all, I think I allocate this stock from ASML, allocate the fund from ASML to Meta, I think is a better choice, right? In comparison, let's look at ASML. In comparison with the PE trailing 12 month, ASML is at 38, nearly 40x, versus Meta that we just look at, it was at 22. And at the time when I bought Meta stock, it was at around 19, 20. So the stock has definitely gone up 5% from there. So in terms of valuation, P ratio, I think Meta has a lot more upside to go. And if we look at the annual growth for the revenue, right? So for the revenue, over here on the right hand side, the 2024 is $28 billion with the net income $7.57 billion, and that has a really really nice margin. However, I don't think the growth is there if we scroll down all the way to the bottom. So that's the forecast. The net profit growth has been really nice at 36%, and the annual growth is at 22.7%. Though I don't think this is correct, therefore you need to double check, right? So this is just what I want to show you, that you cannot trust all the website out there what they're saying. I don't know how they got 22.7 or 0.8% here, but let's double check, right? So for the SML, we go to Yahoo Finance and we scroll down a little bit to the bottom where the trailing 12 month is at $32.2 billion. And then in at the end of 2024, the revenue was at $28.2 billion, right? So if we take that and we divide it, the revenue growth is at 14%. It's not 22.77% as it said on this website over here. And that's why we need to double check. And for the net profit margin, it's been really nice at around 30%. And if we compare that to Meta, right? So this is Meta. I just take the trailing 12 months is at $189 billion versus in 2024 is at $164 billion. So if we take that, that's a nice 15% growth. You may say, yeah, 15% growth versus 14% growth is not that much different. However, however, for this 14% growth for ASML, if we look at the stock to scroll back up, if we look at the stock with the year to date, the stock has gone up 56.98%. So around 57% upside from the beginning of the year all the way to today. However, in comparison, if we look at Meta, right? So the year to date, the Meta platform for year to date is only up 9.46%. So the revenue growth has been pretty much the same ish. However, for Meta platform, the stock hasn't gone up as much in comparison to the revenue growth. So this is what I say. This is just the first initial pass through that I would see when the stock makes sense to be analyzed even further. If it does, like in this case, Meta Platform, which I say, which I believe has a lot more upside from here. With that, I believe ASML stock is currently properly valued versus Meta stock is currently undervalued. For me, it makes sense for me to reinvest all of my ASML earnings or profit into Meta stock because Meta stock is more undervalued in my opinion versus ASML stock. If you find this video helpful, give some love by hitting the like button below. And if you haven't checked out my AMD video, check it out here. See you next time.